Salam, welcome to the اردیبهشت Farsi channel. In this video, we will join Maria on her first trip to Iran as she explores its beautiful cities, historic sites, and rich culture. Are you ready? Let's go! بزن بریم!
My mom and I had 10 days trip on our own, visiting the major tourist attractions, traveling everywhere by taxi, including long-distance destinations, which is not expensive in Iran. We spent $1,000 in total for two, excluding international tickets to Iran. In this video, I would like to give you the brief ideas of the places to visit during the entire trip. For more details, you can refer to my previous videos from the playlist of Iran Travel Vlog. Planning the trip, keep in mind that international bank cards are not working in Iran due to sanctions, so get ready to take cash with you. The bookings for domestic flights and hotels using international form of payment can be done on the website with the link on the description below. Gülistan Palace is located in front of Grand Bazaar and is one of the oldest historical monuments in the city of Tehran, with a World Heritage status. It's a royal residence dating back 400 years, characterized by a fusion between Persian architecture, the adaptation of European construction technologies, and the use of cast iron. Nasser al-Din Shah, seeing the museums of the Western countries, decided to build a similar museum in this royal palace. In this regard, some of the older buildings of the palace were destroyed, and the Salam Hall or Coronation Hall was built. Thus, the first museum of Iran was formed in the hall, which was used to exhibit Iranian and European paintings, alongside gifts presented to Iranian court by European kings, including Napoleon Bonaparte, Nicholas I of Russia, William II, Queen Victoria, and Alexander III of Russia. Arriving to the gate of Mount Tachal, you can take a minibus or to walk for 30 minutes, which is about 2 kilometers, up to the Station 1 of the gondola lift, known locally as Tachal Telecabin. It's one of the world's longest gondola lift lines, with a length of 7,500 meters. It starts at Valinyak Valley at the altitude of 1,900 meters and ends at the last station at the altitude of 3,740 meters, near the main reach of Mount Tachal. Saadabad is a cultural and historical complex that covers an area of 300 hectares and is located across the foothills of Mount Tachal. The complex was constructed in the 19th century and it was used as a summer royal residence. After Islamic Revolution, the complex became a museum. Today, the official residence of the President of Iran is located adjacent to the complex. The complex includes 18 buildings. 10 of them are open for the public, and 4 of the buildings are at disposal of Presidency Organization. The former U.S. Embassy, or Den of Espionage Museum, is one of the weirdest attractions in the city. It was an American diplomatic mission in the imperial state of Iran. Direct bilateral diplomatic relations between the two governments was severed following the Iranian Revolution in 1979 and the subsequent seizure of the embassy in November same year. Tabiat Bridge, or the Nature Bridge in Persian language, is the largest pedestrian overpass in Iran. It connects to public parks by spanning Madaras Expressway, one of the main highways in northern Tehran. Built on 3 large pillars, the 270-meter square structure has broad entrances, multiple pathways, and 3 floors of restaurants, cafes, and sitting areas. Azadi Tower is one of the landmarks of Tehran. The tower is 45 meters tall and is completely clad in cut marble. It was commissioned by Muhammad Reza Pahlavi, the last Shah of Iran, to mark 2,500 years celebration of Persian Empire. Kashan is a Chayman medieval city located 270 kilometers from Tehran. Hotel provided us a taxi for $30 for the whole trip, with a stop for an hour at Finn Garden on the way to our hotel. Finn Garden was built in the 16th century. It's the oldest extant garden in Iran and the UNESCO World Heritage Site. The garden was created with the traditional principle of 4 gardens. Layout dates back to the time of Cyrus the Great, where a square garden is divided into 4 parts by waterways. For the place for a night in Kashan, I would recommend to stay at traditional Hotel Nigin. It's clean, bright, with a nice courtyard and pretty chill-out places. The rooms are designed in the traditional Persian style for a decent price of $30 per night. Breakfast is included in the price and served in the beautiful Middle Eastern restaurant with a big metal teapot on the buffet table. Wandering around narrow back streets in Kashan brings many surprises and picture-perfect scenes. Here you can find gorgeous mosques as well as hidden ruins of the old town. I keep saying in my Iranian videos that Iranian people are very friendly. This local guy passing by on the motorbike stopped by to show us the most interesting places of the ruins. Aga Bazok Mosque is a historical mosque in Kashan, built in the 18th century. It features 3 levels and its own courtyard, and constructed for prayer, preaching and teaching sessions. Sarai Miriha is a nice stop to escape the day heat and to have few cold drinks at a historical house built for Kashan governor during Zen dynasty. Sultan Amir Ahmad Bath House is a traditional Iranian public hammam, constructed in the 16th century during Safavid era. It has an area around 1,000 square meters and consists of 2 main parts, the dressing hall and hot bathing hall. In ancient Persia, bathhouses were built in the basement in order to save the energy and maintain the heat. The roof of the bathhouse is made of multiple domes that contains convex glasses to provide the sufficient light to the bathhouse while concealing it from outside. Kashan traditional houses is perhaps one of the most apparent reasons Kashan gained fame for tourists and travelers. Boroujardi House is the historical house museum in Kashan. It was built in the 19th century for the bride of Boroujardi, who was set a condition for the marriage to build the house as beautiful as the one of the father of his fiancée. Tabita Bi house was built few years later and belonged to the family of Tabita Bi, whose Boroujardi fiancé came from. The next road trip of 270 kilometers is from Kashan to Isfahan, visiting traditional village on the way, with a taxi cost of $30 for the whole trip. The village of Abyaneh was built on the foothills of Karkas Mountain, located 2,300 meters above sea level. The village is oriented in north-south direction to get enough sun during harsh winters. The word Abyaneh was derived from the word Viona, meaning on the local dialect the willow grove. Most residents speak Middle Persian, an early version of Farsi, that largely disappeared some centuries ago. The population of Abyaneh is about 300 individuals and 150 households, consisting of mostly old people. Abyaneh village has a history that spans over 2,500 years, dating back to the ancient Persians, that makes it one of the most ancient human habitats in Iran. Nakshe Jahan Square is the central place in Isfahan, where a guest can take a horse-drawn carriage or electric car for the driving tour around the square. It's translated from Persian as Image of the World Square. It's one of the largest city squares in the world and UNESCO World Heritage Site. Constructed in 17th century, it's surrounded by buildings from Safavid era. Shah Mosque is situated on the southern side and is regarded one of the masterpieces of Persian architecture in the Islamic era. Its splendor is mainly due to the beauty of its 7-color mosaic tiles and calligraphic inscriptions. For the places to eat, I would recommend the beautiful traditional restaurant Bastani, conveniently located next to Shah Mosque, and offering a broad menu of the authentic Iranian dishes. Ali Kapur Palace is the imperial palace which served as an official residence of Persian emperors of Safavid dynasty. The name Ali Kapur from Persian means imperial or great gate, and it was given to the palace and it was right at the entrance to the Safavid palaces, which stretched from Nakshe Jahan Square to the boulevard. For the places to stay in Isfahan, I can suggest Isfahan Traditional Hotel with beautiful courtyard and cozy rooms for €30 per night, including buffet breakfast at nicely decorated traditional style restaurant. Sheikh Latfallah Mosque was the first to be built in Nakshe Jahan Square. The purpose of this mosque was to be private for the royal court, so it doesn't have any minarets and designed with a tunnel built spanning the piazza from Ali Kapur Palace to the mosque, to avoid for the ladies from the harem having to walk across the square. Grand Bazaar lies around Nakshe Jahan Square and has almost 5 kilometers of shopping streets with many arches and corridors, as well as caravansarais with inner courtyards, where caravans with loaded camels and donkeys could stop, unload and rest. One of must-do in Iran is to visit desert. Barzaneh Desert is located 130 kilometers from Isfahan, and the round trip costed $25 by taxi provided by our hotel. On the site we paid $22 more for an hour sand dune safari trip. In total, we spent 3 days in Isfahan, and the next site to visit is Chehel Satun Palace, which literally means 40 columns. The palace was built as Persian pavilion for entertaining and receptions. Shah Abbas and his successors would receive dignitaries and ambassadors, either on the terrace or in one of the reception halls. The palace contains many frescoes and paintings on ceramic, which depicts the specific historical scenes and the battles, as well as aesthetic compositions. For visiting Zoroastrian fire temple, we hired a car with a guide from our hotel, who accompanied us to the top of the hill. It's an archaeological complex located 8 kilometers from the city center of Isfahan, and it's the third largest fire temple remained from Iranian ancient history, and dates back to Sassanid era, which is around the 3rd-6th century AC. The hill rises about 200 meters above surrounding plain. The ascent into the hill was not as easy as I expected. It's a steep slope formed by sharp slippery rocks, so get ready with proper hiking shoes if you would like to explore this site. The introduction to Armenian quarter, I would like to start with a carpet shop, which is not a random choice. Throughout the centuries, Armenians were the good merchants and had a great knowledge of the silk trade. Originally, Jaffa was established in 1606 by edict of Shah Abbas I, where over 150,000 Armenians were forcibly moved from Old Jaffa, fleeing the Ottoman Empire persecution. Armenians have constructed many churches, schools, and cultural centers in order to promote and flourish their society. The Holy Saviour Cathedral, or the Church of the Saintly Sisters, is one of them, which is generally called Vank, meaning monastery in Armenian language. The interior of the cathedral features fine paintings inspired from both the Old and New Testament. The small museum in the courtyard exhibits an interesting collection of cathedral history, and it's a home to relics left of Armenian community of Isfahan. From Sassanid era until today, historical bridges of Isfahan have been built to facilitate an access between northern and southern parts of the city. Sepal Bridge, or the Bridge of 33 Spans, is the largest of 11 historical bridges in Isfahan. The bridge was built in the early 17th century to service both the bridge and the dam. It is a popular recreational gathering place and is one of the most famous examples of Iran's Safavid architecture. We visited the ancient city of Pasargade on the way from Isfahan to Shiraz. The total distance was 500 kilometers and we paid for the taxi $80, including 2-hour stop exploring Pasargade. Pasargade was the first dynastic capital of the Achaemenid Empire, also known as the First Persian Empire, founded by Cyrus the Great in the 6th century BCE. The highlight of the ancient city is the tomb of Cyrus the Great, also called by Iranians as the father of Persia, who founded the First Persian Empire 25 centuries ago. Based in Western Asia, it was the largest empire the world had ever seen at its time, from the Balkans and Egypt on the west to Central Asia and Indus Valley in the east. After the victory of Cyrus over Astyages, Cyrus founded Pasargade on the site of the battle. The city served as the ceremonial capital of the early Achaemenid Empire and was never meant to house a large population. The ancient city of Persepolis is located 60 kilometers from Shiraz. It was founded by Darius the Great in 518 BCE to replace the ceremonial capital from Pasargade. The name Persepolis is derived from the Greek meaning the Persian city. The city remote location kept it a secret from outside world, and it became the safest city in the Persian Empire for storing art, artifacts, archives, and keeping the royal treasury. Darius commissioned the construction of Persepolis in 515 BCE. The complex is raised high on a walled platform and consisted of 9 buildings and palaces, which served as the ceremonial capital of ancient Achaemenid Empire. The first 3 buildings were completed before his death, and the fourth one, the treasury, was started by completed by his son Xerxes, the designated successor by Darius. Xerxes was infamous for his womanizing, cruel tactics, and excessive spending. He insisted that his palace be double the size of his father's. The buildings were constructed with mud bricks and massive precision-cut stone blocks, assembled without mortar. The surfaces of the great limestone blocks were polished to a shiny marble-like appearance. In Iran, there are 6 Achaemenid royal tombs left, 4 of them located at Necropolis on Akshay Rustam, and 2 at Persepolis above the treasury. It's a burial place of 2 Achaemenid kings, Artaxerxes II and Artaxerxes III. Necropolis is located 7 kilometers from Persepolis, where Darius the Great and his successors had the monumental tombs carved into a cliff. It is not possible to enter the tombs. Inside there are several stone caskets, each of them were broken and looted over the centuries. As history has taught us, no empire lasts forever. In 330 BCE, Alexander the Great conquered the Achaemenid Persian Empire. After looting its treasures, carried them away with 5,000 camels and burned Persepolis to the ground. Phenomenal Maharla Lake is located 30 kilometers from the ancient city of Shiraz, that turns this regular lake into a pink spectacle. The distinctive color comes from the high amount of red algae. The high proliferation of algae is due to the salty water of the lake. Iram is one of the most beautiful gardens in Iran. It translates as a paradise garden and listed as UNESCO World Heritage Site. The origins of the garden might go back to the 12th century during the Seljuk period. Over the years, different dynasties and Iranian tribes worked to improve Iram, that is today is a part of Shiraz Botanical Garden. Iram Garden is created on a slope on the 2 platforms with altitude difference of 10-15 meters and has various types of plants from all over the world. The tomb of Hafiz has 2 memorial structures erected in the memory of celebrated Persian poet Hafiz. He was born in Shiraz in 1315 and died there in 1390. The beloved figure of Iranian people who learned his verses by heart, Hafiz was prominent in his hometown and held the position as the court poet. Ali ibn Hamza Holy Shrine is a religious site and the most important place of pilgrimage in Shiraz, so wearing an Islamic veil is a must for women, supplied with one at the entrance. The shrine consists of the tomb of the nephew of Imam Riza, who was the 8th Shiite Imam and descendant of Prophet Muhammad. Dazzling Venetian mirror tiles adorn the bridge of the walls and dome ceiling, creating a mesmerizing play of light and reflections. The old city of Shiraz is a traffic-free area with narrow, winding streets, with old houses and traditional blank walls of adobe and bricks and tall fences. Vakil Bazaar is the main bazaar of Shiraz, located in the historical center of the city. It was originally established in the 11th century and has beautiful courtyards, caravansarais, bathhouses and old shops, which is the best place in Shiraz to buy Persian rugs, spices, copper handicrafts and antiques. For the places to eat, I would recommend Julep Cafe with 2 cooling seating areas inside and outside. It offers Iranian European style menu and good for both breakfast and lunch. Saadi was a Persian poet and prose writer of medieval period. He is recognized for the quality of his writings and for the depth of his social and moral thoughts. He is one of the greatest poets of classical literary tradition, earning him the nickname of the Master of Speech, and has been quoted in the Western traditions as well. His book Bustan has been ranked as one of the 100 greatest books of all time by The Guardian. The Kardan gate stands tall with a grand central archway flanked by 2 smaller entrances and a small room on the top in which is kept handwritten Quran. Travelers passing underneath the gate were believed to receive the blessings of the Holy Book as they begin their trip or journey from Shiraz. For the construction of Citadel, Karim Khan invited the best architects and artists of the time and bought the best materials from other cities and abroad. During the Zend dynasty, it was used by the king as the living quarter. During the Qajar period, it was used as the governor's seat. After the fall of Qajar dynasty, it was converted into a prison, and the paintings were plastered over. Hammam bathhouse is considered one of the first private bathhouses of this kind, and were only used by the royal family. Pars Museum is located right across Citadel, and it's a burial place of Karim Khan. The building of museum has a regular octagonal shape. It was used for holding official ceremonies, and it was a place where the royal guests were hosted during Zend dynasty. I would like to express the gratitude to all Iranian people I met on the way during my first trip to Iran, and do hope it's not the last one.